Hello again. Talk of diversity to the average person and he will assume that you are thinking of having more black people somewhere and fewer whites. That's what diversity means to most of us. Generally speaking, of course, that is exactly what diversity means, at least in Britain and America. The British Broadcasting Corporation, though, ever at the cutting edge of such matters, want to remind us that there is more to diversity than just losing white people. I confess that I had no idea, but the BBC are keen to remind me that this is LGBTQ plus month. As a result, they've been speaking to Baron Smith of Finsbury, of whom I've never heard. He turns out to be Chris Smith, who was for a few years Culture Secretary in Blair's administration. All this was 20 years ago, so it's hardly surprising that I've forgotten all about him. I provide a link in the description to this video to the BBC interview with Chris Smith, or as I should call him now, Baron Smith of Finsbury. In it, he complains that there are no openly homosexual members of the cabinet and claims that this means that Boris Johnson has a blind spot. He thinks this is a blind spot which is preventing Boris Johnson from realising that he should be hunting out homosexuals, apparently, to appoint to his cabinet. There are no transsexuals in the cabinet either, and this is referred to as a glass ceiling. In other words, to be truly representative, the cabinet needs to have a few homosexuals, and the Prime Minister should be choosing some of the next cabinet based upon this, rather than their ability. That at least is what Chris Smith seems to be saying, and the BBC agrees. The funniest thing on this clip of film, which is included in that link I give, is that it bears a warning that it contains strong language. I was curious about this because the BBC allows any and all swear words to be broadcast these days without batting an eyelid. What could this strong language be? It's merely a second or two taken from the parliamentary debate when sodomy and other acts were legalised for 16-year-olds. An MP says that this will mean the buggery of adolescence. Well, of course it did. That surely was the whole point of changing the law. So it was okay to change the law as long as we don't say out loud what the consequences of that change will be. That seems a little prudish to me, but then I suppose I'm one of those people that prefers to call things by their actual name. Before I'm accused of being homophobic, I must say that I'm completely indifferent to other people's sexuality, just as I assume they are to mine. The books which I write and these videos are not connected in any conceivable way that I can think of with what I get up to in the sack with my wife, and so I've not thought it worth mentioning that I'm heterosexual. I doubt anybody watching this cares particularly anyway. When somebody reads a book of mine, they expect it to be literate and the thoughts expressed lucidly. When I speak on these videos, they might hope that I speak clearly and sensibly. Neither of those things is going to be affected by what I get up to in bed. The idea that Boris Johnson should make sure that he includes gay people in his next cabinet is so strange that I don't even know where to begin. I would rather he focused upon people's integrity, ability and trustworthiness rather than set out to appoint people because they were homosexual. I can see this is a coming thing. The BBC is a barometer, of course, of progressive thought. Not only will staff at educational establishments and government departments have to have a certain number of black people, there will be complaints now if there are not enough homosexuals too. I wonder if there'll ever come a time when skin colour and sexuality stop being important to certain people.